Hello, this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to give you a quick little tutorial on how I made these lovely cards using the large letter framelit dies. I think they're very nice. You can see that this is the card that I made first, which I featured on my blog a few weeks ago. A couple of people have asked me for a tutorial, so that's why I'm doing this today, to show you how I made them. And then I changed it up a little bit and made this one for my daughter, who obviously is called Annie, on her 20th birthday a couple of weeks ago. I do have to give credit to Two Big Girls Crafting, who came up with the original idea, and I've cased it, so thank you very much to those girls on their blog. So let's get started, see how I made these lovely cards. So what will we need to make these cards? Well, first of all, I'm going to do a different colour scheme today. I'm going to use three, so you need three colours really, and I'm going to use Lemon Lime Twist, So Saffron and Powder Pink. But up to you what colours, find some nice coordinating colours. We need we need one stamp set, which is this one here, Happy Birthday Gorgeous. I'm going to use these little daisies here to stamp on the letters, and I'm going to use the birthday greeting at the bottom of the card. I'm going to mask out the happy. I'll show you how to do that when we get there. And then you need the large letters framelits. Are they framelits or thinlets? I never know. And I keep mine in the stamp case, which is why they're in here. So the stamps are all in here as well, but the dies are in here, so that's why I was showing you that. We'll also need the softly falling embossing folder. Can you see the dots? I'm not sure the camera can pick those up very well. Oh, there we go. Which is a really pretty embossing folder. And we're also going to need some pink ribbon. This is actually Blushing Bride, but it actually goes really well. It almost looks exactly like powder pink on the card that we're doing. They're very similar colours actually. So I'm using Blushing Bride ribbon. So let's get started. What do we need to do? Well, the first thing that I did was took a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock, and I drew round the large letter framelits of the letters that I wanted. So I'm going to go back to doing happy today. So I just drew round the edge. Make sure you've got the cutting side down, because you want the letters the right way round. Doesn't matter so much on the H, but the other letters it does matter. And just drew round the outline to give me an idea of where I needed to stamp. So I'll show you what I mean. This is the Y. I've got it down with the cutting edge down, and I'm just going to lightly draw round it in pencil, like so. And then we need to stamp on these letters. I just stamped on the bottom half. You can stamp all over if you wanted to, or do your own thing. Like I said, my colours are Lemon Lime Twist, So Saffron and Powder Pink. So I'm going to start off with Lemon Lime Twist, and I'm going to stamp the outline flower first. And it's got a little corner on it, if you can see there, that tells me which way round. So when I come to stamp this one, I know that the corners have to line up, and then those stamps will line up quite nicely. So wherever the corner is pointing, I know the corner needs to point when I do that one. So Lemon Lime Twist, I'm just going to stamp a few outlines here. One there, just quite randomly. One there, maybe another one down the bottom, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to clean that off. I don't know if you've all seen our wonderful Stampin' Scrub. I'll just bring it onto camera for a second. This is our Stampin' Scrub. It has a damp side and a dry side. So you just give the damp side just a very quick spritz with our stamping mist. And it smells divine, this stamping mist. I love it. And then you can very quickly scrub on one side, dry on the other, and your stamp's ready to go again with another colour. It's so quick and easy. I just thought I'd show you that little tip. So the next colour I need is, we're going to do Powder Pink next. Open my stamp pad. And again, I'm doing the outline flowers first, making a note of where the corner's pointing, so I know when I come to line them up for the other bit. I'm going to do one there, one here, so I can fit a yellow one in the middle, and maybe one up here. There we go, and off camera onto my Stampin' Scrub. Sorry, I can't keep bringing that back every time. And then So Saffron. Open the stamp pad. And again, just going to fill in any of the little space. I think there's only room for one actually. One so saffron in there, that will be fine. Okay, I'm then going to go, so I'll just clean my stamp off so that's ready to go next time. And then I'm going to go with the solid flower this time. So we've done the outlines, we're going to go with the solid flower. Again, I'm going to start with lemon lime twist. I'm going to stamp it. But before I stamp it onto my card, I'm going to stamp it off because I don't want it to be as dark as the outline. And then I know that I've got to get the corner pointing roughly that way because that's where it was in the other, so I can easily line that up and do that. And because these are photopolymer stamps, that makes that all the easier. So I've stamped it on the ink pad, stamped off, and stamp. You can see I'd already done some of these letters. I didn't think you needed to sit and watch me do all of the letters, but I thought I'd just show you with one of them how I did it. There we go, that's the green. Back onto the stamping scrub, get the green ink off, and we'll do the yellow. As I've got that here, we'll just do the yellow one. There's only one yellow one to do, so again this corner needs to point that way. Line it up and stamp, and then finally, oh, I forgot to stamp that one off. Ah, hey ho. Finally, the powder pink, and again, line that up and stamp. You can hardly see the powder pink stamp ink when you first do this, but actually it does come a little bit darker as it dries. And stamp it off and stamp. So that was how I did the stamping on all the letters, as you can see. And now we're ready to cut them out. But before we do that, I'm just going to finish doing the stamping so that I can put all the ink pads away, because otherwise I get in a real mess with leaving open ink pads. So the next piece of stamping that we need to do is on the white card base that's going on the card. So if I show you Annie's card, I did a coloured card base and then a white mat on top of that. So we need to stamp something on here. I'm just going to do like I did on the original one, birthday. I don't want the happy because the letters are spelling happy. I'm going to do it in lemon lime twist, and I'm going to use a post-it note to mask off the bit of the stamp that I don't need. I don't want it to say happy, I just want it to say birthday. So I'm just going to use a post-it note stuck on there, which should stick enough just for me to stamp it on the stamp pad. There we go. It's so hot today that nothing wants to stick. Hang on, let's try another one. That's a stickier one. It's just been so hot here in the UK today that everything's a bit losing its sticky a bit. There we go, hopefully that will stick. Right, and so I'm just going to stamp onto the stamp pad. The post-it note's got ink all over it, but that doesn't matter, can just remove that, and then I can stamp carefully down here at the bottom of the card, and I'll just get birthday, which is great, which is what I wanted. Excellent. I'm just going to get rid of my post-it notes in the bin. There we go. And I can put my stamp pad away now. We've done all the stamping that we need to do. Okay, we now need the big shot because we're going to cut out these letters, and then we're going to need the big shot again because we need to emboss our panel with the embossing folder. So I'll just bring my big shot up. You'll notice that it's a very, very old big shot. It doesn't look like the ones in the current catalogue. I've had this a long while before I started doing Stampin' Up. In fact, I think I've had it about 15 years, and I use it an awful lot, which just goes to show, although that's quite an investment and quite a big value item to buy, they last forever. It's been so fantastic, and I would never have been without it, so it was a good investment. I've got my magnetic platform on here, which is going to hold my dies in place as I cut them out, which is great for something like this because it means I can cut a lot of dies and know that they're going to stay put. So there's the H, just lining it up with my pencil mark so that I know that I'm going to catch all the stamping. Obviously I'll have to go through twice to do the P because there are two P's and I've only got one P die, and then the Y at the end here. So there we go. So just swoosh that through your big shot like so, and then those letters will have cut out. Absolutely great. So we've got the H, the A, the P, and the Y. And obviously if you're doing this, you will need to put it through again to do the other P. I'm not going to do that today because I've already cut out some letters to use with you. Now, to do the embossing folder, I don't need the magnetic platform, so I'm getting rid of that, replacing it with my normal platform, which is again an old school one. So I need to take one of the plates off because it doesn't need to have that one on. Oh, I can't get around the legs of my tripod here. There we go. There we go, that's fine. Still need the two clear plates, one at the top and one at the bottom. Here's my embossing folder, and I'm just going to pop it in. Is that the right way up? No, that's the right way up. About halfway down, because I want, oh no, the other way up. That's I want the spots, the little dots on here, to be quite thick at the top but not quite so thick at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. They're going to be quite thick there and fade out towards the bottom. So just put that there. It's not absolutely straight, but it doesn't really matter because it's such an abstract pattern. And that goes through the big shot as well. Then I can get rid of the big shot off the table. Take it back the other way. It's pushing off the end of my table. Everything's going to fall off. So let's just take that back that way. There we go. All done. Can get rid of the big shot out of your camera view. And now we're ready to more or less assemble the card. There we go. Oh, well, that's a different look. I've done it upside down. Okay, so I've got a debossed pattern rather than embossed pattern. Don't know if you can see the difference. So on this one, the dots go in, and on this one the dots go out. I quite like that effect though. I think that looks quite nice, so I'm going to stay with that. I've then got a card blank that is So Saffron, and it measures 15 by 10.5. So obviously if I opened it out it would be 21 by 15. I've just scored it in the middle and folded it over, and then my panel is just 1/2 centimetre smaller than all of that, so that fits. Before I stick it on there, I'm going to put some ribbon on here. I'm going to use our tear and tape to hold down the ribbon, and actually this will be a lot easier with the dots going in because they're a bit bumpy when you're sticking ribbon on with them going the other way. There we go. Stick that on there and tear that off. Okay, just rub that down, and I just use tweezers to get the backing off here. So I've got no nails really to speak of. Okay, there we go. And then we just need a little bit of ribbon. Lovely ribbon this. Can you see it's two-sided? It's got sort of dashes on one side and crosses on the other, so you can actually use both sides if you want to. So just add that to a line across there. Take that, oh, didn't stick that down very well. Stick that there. Trim that off from the thing, and then what I'm going to do, I don't like to wrap my ribbon round because I think it gives the card too much bulk. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim so that it finishes at the edge. And actually I've never had any problems with ribbon fraying or anything like that, so that should be absolutely fine. There we go, there's my ribbon on there. And I can then, and can you see that I've now featured each of the colours that I've used? So I've got a So Saffron base, a Blushing Bride, powder pink ribbon, and a lemon lime twist greeting. So I'm going to use Tombow glue to stick this panel down around the edges and a little bit in the middle. Oh, that came out a bit quick. Just scoop that across so that it doesn't make a mess. There we go. And stick your panel down on your card front. Again, I just do this by eye, but the Tombow glue is great because it gives you a bit of time to wiggle. As I'm always saying, get a bit of wiggle room with the Tombow. You don't have to get it precisely right first time. So there we go. There's my panel stuck on my card, and now all I need to do is add the letters and then a little bow made of the ribbon. Okay, so we've got that done. Now the letters, I don't know if you can see, these are some I made earlier. Can you see that they're actually quite thick there? And that's because I've mounted 3 lots of card behind each one to make them a bit more sturdy, so that they stick, so they come out on the card without actually needing to use dimensionals, and I quite like that effect. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how I did it. Here's the Y that we just cut out. You just need to again use the Tombow and just scoot a little bit of glue, scooch it along a bit if there's too much in one place, and take take a blank letter. I've cut this out of thick Whisper White card as well, and just put it on there and just push them together so that they're exactly lined up. So you can push all the edges together to get them lined up like so, and you can see if they're not, and you can then adjust, because again the Tombow will be forgiving like that. And then again another one, so I'm going to do 3 layers just to make them really nice and thick. There we go, and put that there. There we go. So that one's now complete and ready to stick down on my card. I've already stuck the other 4 down just using our Tombow glue, so I'll just finish off by sticking this one down. The 5 letters just fit in the space that's available quite nicely on this card. If you wanted a longer word, you'd have to make a bigger card base, I think. Just pop that one there, and the card is nearly finished. Oh, that one's not very straight. That's still got a bit of movement in it. Oh, that one, these have moved since I put them on there. There we go. Lovely. And the last little thing we need to do is a little bow to go on the ribbon. So again, I'm just going to take a little bit of ribbon. I'm going to just make my bow. Sometimes this can be a bit fiddly. Oh no, that's worked quite well. That's quite nice. Just pull it nice and tight to get a nice tight knot in the middle there. And then I'm just going to trim that off with my paper snips. Make a nice pointed end, and another one here. And all I need now is a couple of glue dots to glue it down, and I'm actually going to use these glue dots here, one on there, try and get that to stick. Oh, that one doesn't want to come off. Okay, there's a glue dot here. They've not been covered with the paper for a while, so that's why they're not sticking. Been out in the open air. There we go. And just got to stick this in place, and my card is complete. Stick my bow down there, and we're done. That's my card for today. Really pleased with that. I really love this colour scheme, and I'm going to experiment with some others. I think I might do one in all blues. I think I quite fancy that colour scheme. Well, I hope you liked my project today, and I hope you've enjoyed learning how to make this card, and I hope you'll have a go. If you do, please send me some photos. If you'd like to see any more of my projects, please subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to see other things, I do put other things on my blog as well, which is www.paperdaisycrafting.blogspot.co.uk. So please pop over there and subscribe, and then you'll get an email every time I post something. Don't forget that all through July, Stampin' Up are offering the bonus days promotion, which means that every £45 you spend with us, you'll get a £4.50 voucher that you can spend in August on absolute anything you like, which will be fantastic. How about shopping for free? And that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you soon. Bye.